Well, we're joined by 5th District U.S. Representative Steve Russell. Steve, thank you for being here today at the Southern Republican Leadership Conference. Tell us a little about your thoughts about the conference being here in Oklahoma City and what it might mean down the road.
Well, I think it's important that Oklahoma, we are a red state. We are a conservative state. We have a virtuous people. We have many of the aspects that I think resonate with the conservative message. So what an honor it is for us to have the Southern Republican Leadership Conference here in Oklahoma City. I had the privilege to speak at it in 2011 before that presidential campaign in New Orleans, and never imagined that here we are, now it's in Oklahoma City 4 years later. So we're very honored as a city to be hosting it.
Well, you spoke this morning, we're talking on Saturday, you spoke to the gathering about, I thought it was an interesting message about the idea that Republicans need to start to unite and deliver a message together as opposed to sort of tearing each other apart on their way to trying to win the White House. Would you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We've got a great message, but oftentimes it gets shouted down. And if we're divided amongst ourselves, then we will continue to see the decline of the very principles that we feel are necessary to keep the country together. My comments this morning were focused on that. Let's have the discourse. Let's even have the disagreement. But let's not have the attacking one another when it comes down to uniting, whether it be the presidential election or whether it be our Republican candidates or things that we need to get in office. And if people are unhappy with the core values and beliefs of Republicans, then get involved, persuade. If you shout your message louder, that does not make it more persuasive.
Well, does a field of a dozen or 13, does that lend itself to exactly what you're talking about, or is there a way to do it in a civil manner that lifts everybody up?
I think that there is a way to do it. People will have their champions and they will have their favorites, and we'll certainly see that. But one of the things I think that we've suffered from a little bit is that when these loud, sharp voices have tried to shout somebody down who may have ended up in a favorable position, they're really shouting down somebody they probably agree with 80% of the time. So why would you give up 80% because you're unhappy with the 20? I was walking home after a 10-and-a-half-hour committee meeting where progressives were telling us that we hated everything from children, women, puppies, chocolate, I mean, you name it, when it came to education. And as I'm walking home after that, we did get our measure passed. I thought people are looking at the gaps and are upset about the gap. But if we were not there, that gap would be so broad. And I think it's something that we need to be mindful of, that when we divide, we just broaden the gap for the things that we don't believe in even more.
You talked about cynicism and criticism and how the country wasn't built on that. It was built on the belief that despite what the critics and the cynics want, we can still do this. Are the critics and the cynics winning out today, do you think?
I think that you could say that they have won out in recent years because we failed to rally on our candidates. We failed to rally in national leadership the way that we should have. But I think that it's important as we go forward that, look, let's find good ideas. Let's find the things that we do believe in as we move forward that we can unite on. And if we have those differences, then let's work that out quietly. Let's not make the differences the main argument of everything we do. Let's focus on a vision for the country. Solomon said in Proverbs, without a vision, the people perish. And if we want our country to die, then let's keep tearing each other apart.
Final question for you. You moderated a session on national security here at the conference. What are your greatest concerns as you look out at this crazy globe we're living on now in terms of national security?
I think certainly in the Middle East and dealing with ISIS, we need a comprehensive strategy with American leadership. We need to be willing to commit the diplomatic, the economic, and the military options necessary to make it work. It can't just be one. We will achieve military pauses and military successes, but if we don't follow it up with a good diplomatic and economic effort and have a long-range, decades-long commitment and vision, we'll keep going back every 4 years. And as someone who lost friends there and has given a lot of my life over there, I would sure like to see America lead instead of worrying about politics.
Congressman Steve Russell, thanks a million for popping by and visiting with the Oklahoman today.
It's always my pleasure, and thank you all. Appreciate it.